All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas Podcast, where I'm still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm also joined by my good friend over there in Los Angeles, California, 49ers Hub, Mr. Evan Sowards. Evan, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good, man. That was the best you've ever pronounced my name. That was
good?
That was perfect.
Do you
Couldn't
know what
have
it
done
might
it
be?
better.
I have some throat comfort tea that I made before we got started here, just to make sure my voice was in tip-top shape before.
Chase,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a child. Don't ever say throat comfort around me again.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think there's somebody in my phone saved as that. So
This show is already off the rails. There's Jarrett Bailey of Pittsburgh, up there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Jarrett, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I've missed doing this with you guys, so it's good to be back. Is that Robin Williams on your wall, Swords?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Very
He's the
good.
goat.
Very good.
He's the absolute goat.
It's just funny because he
lovely.
has Robin Williams by himself over there, and then he's got a bunch of Marvel superheroes to the left. It's a very diverse wall, and I've never seen anyone organize it in that fashion. I like it.
I have
It's like an art
5
exhibit.
superheroes.
Yes,
I don't
it
know
is.
what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean? I said Marvel superhero. Or you're inferring that Robin Williams is also a superhero.
He's a genie.
He is a genie. I forgot about that. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, Jarrett, we should probably get this out of the way early. Evan wanted me to clip something.
I literally knew exactly where this was going. I know it is about to be clipped, and I know what I'm about to witness.
So we have to start here because I meant to send it to you 2 weeks ago, but Evan has been waiting to ask you about this and to give me something else to clip for social media. So Evan, as he stretches and pops his neck to have this conversation with Mr. Jarrett Bailey, the floor is yours, my friend.
He sucks. He sucks. How that athleticism ain't doing shit for Mitch Trubisky, is it? Dog. He's so bad. You know what's funny though? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel bad for you because, well, I don't really, because the Steelers are gonna be so good once they get like even like a serviceable QB. Like, they had a guy that just ran in touchdowns and they almost won once he came in. So not too worried about it. Also, your receivers are incredible. That said, dog, Carson Wentz, Mitch Trubisky, like, you have like an affliction. You're like you sound like my ex. You're like, I can fix him.
Well, let me say this. I was wrong about Mitch Trubisky being any sort of, serviceable quarterback. It seems that ship has sailed. Carson Wentz is a whole different story. Carson Wentz is got his own
Carson
issues,
Wentz,
but
because that's in our rundown. I have some Carson Wentz stuff that I want to get. Yeah,
but
let's stick to Trubisky.
in terms of Trubisky, after week 1, I thought I was like, all right, same old Steelers. Trubisky didn't play great. He didn't play horrible. The offensive line wasn't good. Defensively, they're going to need 5 turnovers just to beat anybody of relevance. But going into week 2, I mean, the Patriots got demolished by the Dolphins. They didn't look like they had any sort of... No, the Patriots don't have a weapon on offense that has a defensive coordinator staring at a ceiling and going, oh, good God, how am I going to stop Jacoby Myers? Or how am I going to stop Mac Jones when he gets hot? Like, they don't have anybody on that offense that does that. But, the Steelers have incapabilities at really the 3 biggest things that you need to make an offense work. Offensive line, which has gotten better, but I think a lot of that is just the fact that they're scheming around that. Quarterback and offensive coordinator. And look, you can have all the talent in the world. George Pickens can catch passes with his elbow once a week, all he wants. If you don't have the play caller to get the job done, the quarterback to get the job done, those things don't matter. So we'll see. I mean, Kenny Pickett he didn't look like the moment was too big for him yesterday. I mean, it's way too soon to say whether he's going to be good or not, but from what I've seen, he's got moxie. He seems to embody what it takes to be, a solid quarterback in this league. I was vocal about how I felt about the pick on this show. I didn't like it, but so far I'm liking what I see. But yeah, no, Swartz, I will. You more than anybody, you follow me. You know I am not. I don't run away from admitting when I was wrong about something.
You don't run away from anything on social media.
Yeah,
you invite
absolutely
things
not.
to things on social media.
You're like you're literally like Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards. Like no one asked you to go out there, and you're just like, no, hey everyone, yeah.
That's a good analogy. That's exactly Jarrett Bailey on Twitter every single day.
Miami Dolphins fans would agree with you there.
I can't stress this enough. I only say this because, and I only feel comfortable saying this because it's insane to me the talent level that they have at like skill positions, like insane. Like the fact that the Steelers have Nahi, Pickett, Claypool. Well, not Pickett. I mean Pickett, but like Claypool, Deontay, and Pickens. Like that's terrifying.
Yeah, no, and a lot of that comes back to the whole scheming thing. So they, for some reason, and look, I'm going to get into Mike Tomlin too as well because that needs addressed. Scheming wise, they are so bullish on turning Chase Claypool into this outside downfield threat, which he's shown time and time again that he's not. If they would just stick him predominantly in the slot and let him be the underneath guy with Pat Freiermuth, and just have him kind of be this hybrid tight end wide receiver, I think that things would go a lot better for Chase Claypool. So they've mishandled how they should use him. And then in terms of the coaching, I already touched on Matt Canada. Tara Lawson was not a good hire. Like they had Wink Martindale and Brian Flores were both still on the market at the time. And I know Flores is technically on the staff as a senior defensive. If you're going to hire Brian Flores, just make him the defensive coordinator. Like there was no look. Tomlin has hired one coordinator outside of the organization in the past decade, and that was Todd Haley in 2012. And when he did that, the offense from 2012 to 2017 was fantastic. And then, there's I guess some internal stuff. What do you mean, Swartz?
Okay, let me preface that. The offense with Hall of Fame quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, like I think that was like
quarterback Ben Roethlisberger in that span of time was the best he's ever looked.
Well, no, I agree. I'm just saying it's like if you put that Ben Roethlisberger on like all 31 other teams, I'm sure they would all look better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm sure like Haley did some stuff, but like
the current iteration of future Hall of Famer Russell Wilson doesn't look very good.
Yeah, but like that's at the tail end of his career. It's not like
he's 32.
We're talking about Ben Roethlisberger at his peak, literally his peak, right?
Should this not be Russell Wilson's peak? Ben Roethlisberger was 32 in 2012 when Todd Haley was hired.
First off, I don't think that what's going on with Russell Wilson is maybe like all athleticism, and like I think there's something a lot more than that. We'll get there.
That's fair, but in terms of the situation in Pittsburgh, the hiring, like the whole quote unquote the standard is the standard, the Steeler way. Like Mike Tomlin walks into Canton, he's one of the greatest coaches of his generation. He is also too stubborn for his own good, too bullheaded for his own good, and right now it's costing the team because you had an opportunity to go out and hire a guy like Wink Martindale, who, and look, I'm tired of hearing like, oh, TJ Watt's out. There's still two All-Pros on that side of the ball. They got Cam Hayward and Nick Fitzpatrick, both of which.
Highsmith's been good.
And Highsmith's been fantastic too. Devin Bush, Devin Bush, I mean, we can say that was a bad pick to trade up for and get after the injury. He's looked actually better this year. Miles Jack has looked solid. Like, it's not as if like there's 10 other guys on that side of the ball. It's not just TJ Watt. And the fact that they just can't seem, they are 30th in the NFL in total defense right now. They're 31st against the pass. Like, you can't. TJ Watt makes.
Who's the biggest reason though? Like, is it scheme? Is it a particular player? What are teams doing? Like, what did the Bills do on Sunday to maximize just blowing them out of the water there?
I think the biggest thing right now is third down defense because they came into the game against Buffalo 26th in third down defense, and Buffalo went 5 of 9 against Pittsburgh on third down, including that 98-yard bomb. So if you look at them specifically on third downs and second and longs, they play so soft. There's zero tight coverage. And if you go back and watch the New England game, that's why Jacoby Myers was able to eat over the middle. That's why against the Jets, Corey Davis had a big game. Tyler Conklin had big games over the middle because there's just no one there. They leave so much space. And for some reason, they don't seem to correct that. I think that's the biggest thing defensively, and the fact that they can't get pressure right now. which again, that is the biggest thing, obviously, without TJ Watt, but that's a Cam Hayward problem. That's an Alex Highsmith problem. Like, you've got to be able to get pressure on.
What did Cam tweet today that he apologized for, like, before we got on here?
He retweeted something that was basically bashing Tomlin.
Yeah, I like, of all things that we've ever seen on Twitter, I think that was genuinely a mistake, because I can't imagine Cam Hayward outwardly retweeting what that tweet was, which was like the same.
I would bet it could be a mistake. I would bet my life it was not with his butt. You got to click twice to retweet something, and your ass isn't doing that.
No, I mean, I think, like, I don't know, man. Like, it just, I mean, you're closer to this, but, like, I can't imagine Cam Hayward, that, like, seasoned veteran, out there, like, even, like, clicking like on it.
I can't either. That's the thing. Like, I'm trying to figure out
it was also like there was like a bunch of swear words, and it was like kind of like really aggressive. Like,
Cam is the locker room leader of that team, so
right.
I can't see him doing that. Like, looking at that and saying, "Yeah, I'm going to retweet this." I do genuinely think it was a mistake. I don't think it was with his butt. I don't know why it happened or how it happened. He doesn't seem like the guy that would do that.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest problem with the defense. And then offensively, I mean, we touched on it. Trubisky was bad. They're trying to work in Pickett. But Tomlin,
is the offensive line any better?
Offensive line is, how do I want to explain this? Yes and no. Like, I think they're finding ways to scheme around the weaknesses in the offensive line. But like against the Jets, they ran the ball really well.
Mm-hmm.
Najee Harris had multiple carries that looked really good. Jalen Warren had a few carries that looked really good, specifically on the right side, which I don't know if that just means that they just need to run to James Daniels' side more. But, whatever works, just keep doing it. It's hard to run the ball, though, when you get down immediately, because the Steelers aren't a team that can play from behind and come back and beat you.
Why is that?
For the same reasons that we talked about already. I mean, if you get a 2-possession lead on the Steelers, you've won the game. And that's because they can't get pressure on the quarterback. They don't give any sort of tight coverage. They leave the middle of the field wide open a lot in their zone schemes. Like, teams will just nickel and dime that all day, which leads to a tired defense, time of possession for the other team, and then a bad scheme offensively, which leads to 3 and outs, and then the defense is still tired, giving up yards. Like, it's just a butterfly effect that just keeps going in a circle. So,
well, I mean, like, Mitch Trubisky was not – there's no clutch plays coming from Mitch Trubisky. So, like, when he was there was, third down conversions, like, it's scheme and it's talent and all that, but, like, there is a little bit of moxie involved in there, and it was just not getting it done.
And look, I'm the biggest Matt Canada should go guy there is, but there still, even when Mitch was started, you look at some of these plays where they're not converting, you'll see, like, there was one that went viral on Twitter, like, George Pickens just wins a curl like it's nothing and is open with no more than 6 yards of him, and Trubisky throws it into a Browns meeting room trying to fit it into Deontay Johnson, and George Pickens throws a fit on the sideline because he was open. So it's a lot of stuff right now. But Tomlin deserves some of this blame. Like, I feel like people try to duck Mike Tomlin from getting blamed, but he's the one who hires these coordinators. He has, I'm sure, a fair say on who gets on the roster and who he's coaching. And right now,
well, it seems like he's changing his tune a little bit, right? Like, what he was saying today, it seems like full-scale changes might be in the works, right?
It better be.
Yeah.
And that'll be unprecedented for the Steelers, though, because they're not a team that does, mid-season, that cleans house mid-season. So I would be very shocked if there's any, like, severe personnel changes in terms of offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. So
I mean,
we'll see. But
is there anybody on the like offensive side who they can promote? Like you mentioned, like, is there anyone who would be a better option than Matt Canada?
I don't even know. Like, I would have to go through the Rolodex of the staff right now. I don't know it all off the top of my head. But yeah, man, Canada was also hired from within. He was the quarterback coach when Fichtner was there. And not a whole lot has changed.
I mean, he's been everywhere. He was good at LSU for that 1 year. He was good at Maryland for a little bit. I'm kind of surprised that he's struggling to this degree.
If I could pick anybody, I would want them, and it would have to be after the season. But if they were to try to bring in a new offensive coordinator, Shane Day, the passing game coordinator from the Chargers, that would be my pick. Young quarterback with Kenny Pickett. We've seen what Shane Day has done with the skill position guys and the quarterback in Los Angeles. I would love to see him come in and try to see what his scheme could do for Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Pat Fryermuth, all these guys. And look,
they have the worst point differential in the NFL right now through 5 weeks. That blew my mind when I was going through this for today. I knew that it was not going well, but I didn't know it was going that poorly. Like, they're minus 51. Is there a chance they hit rock bottom, Jarrett? Like, they could actually be one of the league's worst teams?
Yeah, I mean, you look at what their next 3 games are. It's Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, Miami.
Whew.
They could very well be 1-7.
Oh my God!
Which is funny because they were 7-1 not too long ago, and that was,
yeah.
I don't know. The Steelers are going to have a bad year, and it's going to be weird if they don't figure out whether.
But I mean, Tomlin's never had one, right? Like, that's the thing. Is like we said that, and it's like Tomlin's literally never done this. This is unprecedented territory for him.
The last time the Steelers lost 5 games in a row was 2009, and they started that year 6-2. They finished the year 9-7.
Is that the year that they ended up getting Ben?
No, that was no way after that.
It's like it was 2004.
04, yeah.
God,
their last losing season was 2003. That's when they got Ben in 2004. But yeah, no, the year that they lost 5 in a row in 2009, and that's the game that they beat Green Bay on that Mike Wallace catch in the end zone at the buzzer. That game. So they almost lost 6 in a row.
I think that the one thing I will say is like there needs to be like a very like definitive end and understanding that like pass rush is more important than coverage. Like, I've heard people debate that back and forth for so many years, and like if ever that was like a question, I think we need to just accept that now. Like, pass rush is infinitely more important than coverage. I think like you look at what's
been watching a lot of Tennessee Volunteer football this fall, and I respect it.
I've been watching a lot of 49ers football since 2011, and they are like the penultimate example of why that's important.
Let me go get my computer charger real quick before I die on you boys.
Okay, Jarrett's coming back. And while Jarrett's away, we'll pivot to the 49ers real quick. Jarrett will be back. The 49ers, Evan, you got a coach fired today. A lot of thoughts. And again, what do you mean?
This is the second time that we've gotten a Carolina coach fired in the last, 3 years?
Wait, which coach did you get fired?
What was it?
I didn't realize that this is number 2 for you guys.
It's happened again.
Were they the team that got Ron Rivera fired?
Was it Ron Rivera?
Yeah, I think so.
Huh.
I mean, that was the last coach, right?
That's wild.
Correct.
Yeah,
I didn't realize.
It goes from Ron Rivera to Matt Rhule. Jesus,
and hey, look at me. We'll do it again. No, I mean, first off, Ron Rivera. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but there's so much respect for Ron Rivera as a coach. He seems like a stand-up guy, but that was pretty ballsy to be out there and being like, quarterback is the reason in which why we are blah blah blah. When it's like, dude, you're basically a 500 coach. Like, you are have as many losses as you have wins, and it took having Cam Newton at his unstoppable peak to get you at you know what I mean? I don't know. I just thought that was wild. Carson Wentz is absolutely nothing to write home about, no matter what Jarrett Bailey will tell you. But I thought they were having a mid off.
Look, I have said this time and time again. I'm not going to make the argument that Carson Wentz is an elite quarterback of what he was in 2017. I will make the argument that he's a capable starter, top 20 in the league. And
all right, let's say Wentz. We're close to Wentz. I want to have a full-on Wentz Ron Rivera conversation. I want Jarrett to have the floor. I want Jarrett to have the full floor here because I think the good folks on Twitter.com need to hear Jarrett fully out on this. But Evan, what actually happened in this game that the Panthers owner, who had a rough time at his press conference today, not the best vibes there, and we'll get into what David Tepper said, stuff like that. But what actually happened in this game that overwhelmed the Panthers to an unreal degree, and just the Niners just really, really imposing their will? What did you see from this one?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, in the beginning, I was thoroughly impressed with the Panthers defense. They were actually playing really well. The offense struggled a little bit, but the Niners, the Niners were actually struggling way more in the beginning of this game against the Panthers defense than they had, say, against the Rams last week, right? Like when I watched the Rams game, it was like a constant, like they were in control. They were winning this game. And up until the 49ers defense got that pick six, it was like fairly competitive back and forth, right? The Niners were kind of like trying to get some things going. But, you know, I mean, Matt Rhule said it in like, who knows if he was just like saying that as an excuse, but I agreed. Once they got that pick six, they just got very dominant, very quick. You know, Bosa went out with a groin injury. Mosley was out, obviously tore his ACL, unfortunately, having a great year. Jimmy Ward came back from a hamstring injury, hasn't played all season, came back and immediately broke his hand. I mean, like he was in maybe a play and was gone. And even still, the 49ers defense in that pass rush, I mean, they had 6 sacks. They were just dominant. Baker could never get comfortable. He had a couple pretty decent throws, I thought, but he just couldn't get comfortable. I am like I just feel bad for that kid now. Like I really just feel bad for him. Like, I mean, I don't think he's like some fantastic QB or anything like that, but like no one has had a bigger fall from grace faster. And I think when you got to look at what the 49ers defense has done 4 weeks now. They have the least amount of points scored in the first half. I think it's like 12 collective points scored in the first half, and the next highest is 35 for a team. I mean, they're just absolutely dominating teams. Again, a team, this is the second, what they're averaging the least amount of points scored as a team, period, the least amount of yards. They have the most sacks in the NFL. Nick Bosa still has the most sacks, and he didn't play today or he didn't play yesterday. Like, they're playing incredible. There's so many things to talk about. Like, literally, there's so many. Like, Travarius Ward might be the best free agency signing in the entire NFL. Like, he looked like Darrelle Revis yesterday. He had so many one-on-one balls that he shut down. Like, he looked incredible. I mean, it's not being talked enough about how dominant he is as a one-on-one corner right now. It's just incredible. And there's a lot to talk about still. Like, we have like third string, fourth string guys getting sacks. Talanoa Hufanga is playing absolutely lights out in his second year.
Yorner Troy Polamalu bringing it full circle with Jarrett here.
Right. And it's just like, there's so much. You got to also remember, like, Chase, you're a Falcons fan.
Mm-hmm.
I was terrified when Tevin Coleman got signed. I'm like, dog, no, you can't keep doing this. Like, he is done. He is absolutely done. He has no business on this roster. Like, we have this undrafted free agent, Jordan Mason, who everyone was aggressively excited about in training camp. Look, talking about how good he looked in practice, all this stuff. I'm like, play the young guy. It's Kyle Shanahan.
Speaking of, I have him stashed in my wife's fantasy team. Is he ever going to play?
Never.
Can I drop him?
Think so. I mean, like, honestly, like, but that's my point. Tevin Coleman, I don't know if it's just the Panthers, because this is what happened in 2019 when he scored 4 touchdowns against the Panthers before. And,
he just really hates the Panthers.
But dude, Tevin Coleman went off, right? Jeff Wilson went off. Like, they had dominant. Jeff Wilson had the first 100-yard game that he's had in a while. Like, so I'm very curious. They play the Falcons next week, and we can talk about that. Falcons, who are now without Deion Jones and some other things. To me, the
Cleveland Brown, Deion Jones.
The 49ers are going to be playing the Chiefs in 2 weeks, and I think that's going to be the litmus test we all need. How good are the 49ers? We'll know then. But right now, they have the best defense in the NFL, and it's so not close. It's not close.
What do you think, Jared? Are you as high on the Niners right now as Evan is?
I'm high on their defense.
So you have questions about the offense?
17 points a game.
Yeah.
I think that
I should say this. Let me before you go. I should say this because I didn't say anything, and it's weird because it's me. Jimmy Garoppolo was almost perfect. He the game that he played against the Broncos was one of maybe the worst quarterback games I've seen by a 49er in a very long time. And he has since played very good football. And yesterday was literally near perfect. He had a few drops from Debo. He had a terrible drop. Ayuk had a terrible drop. And he was lights out. If you look at him, like in like the balls he was threading in between defenders, the touchdown passes he threw, I mean, it was a fantastic game by him. So if Jimmy continues to play at that level, they will be in the Super Bowl. That's a huge if.
That's fair. What do you think, Jarrett?
No, I mean, I'm high on the defense, and that is a huge if for what Sowards just said. Yeah, I mean, no, when they played the Chiefs in 2 weeks, I fully expect Kansas City to win that game. Like, the defense can give them fits at first and whatnot, but I don't trust the 49ers offense to. Is that game in Levi's or is it in Kansas City? Do you know?
I think it is in Levi's.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't change my opinion necessarily on who I think is going to win. Obviously, having the home crowd behind them is much better.
It's at San Francisco. I mean, the biggest thing there for that team is going to be who's going to be starting. Because you got to remember, Bosa was out yesterday. Eric Armstead was already out, right? Like, your starting safety is out now. There's so many players on that defense that are out. So they played well in spite of that, but the Chiefs are relentless.
The biggest thing about that game for me is that the Chiefs had the number 1 rush defense in the league. And so if you shut down the 49ers run game, you won. Like, I'm not worried about Jimmy Garoppolo going up against Patrick Mahomes because I've seen it before. And, so now I do think the 49ers are, right now, mostly because there's not a lot of teams that you can definitively say they are contenders. You can say that about Kansas City. You can say that about Buffalo. And I think that's it. Like, those are the 2 teams right now that I think you can say absolutely they can beat. Maybe Baltimore, but Baltimore's also blown 2 huge leads. The NFC is just weird right now. Like, I don't think Tampa's good. Like, defensively they're fine, and they're going to win their division because they play in a horrible division. But offensively they've looked bad all season. I think the 49ers are going to be, they're going to make a playoff run. They'll win at least one playoff game. But they are they definitely have the benefit of playing in the NFC compared to, the AFC, which is obviously stacked. But in terms of overall league presence, there's just not any teams that are making a statement saying we are good, except for Kansas City and Buffalo.
Interesting. You mentioned the NFC South. The Falcons lost another just horrific game on Sunday. And look,
Jerome Booger lost a game for the Falcons on Sunday.
Yeah, your friend wrote about Jerome Boger and whether or not we have a Boger problem in the NFL over the last 2 weeks, where he's had.
Which one of my friends?
Yes, wasn't it Tanier who wrote it, or was it Ferrer? Was it Doug Farrar, or was it
Doug?
Tanier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure it was Doug.
Okay. But it was a good piece, and it kind of outlines this new problem. And we don't usually have this level of uniformity in football. Just not one soul, even Brady,
where everybody is just in agreement, like, yep, he messed up.
Yeah, like, I've never seen anything like it, where everyone across the board were just stunned. And Grady declined media availability after the game, which was not a surprise with this one. He may have been fined a little bit if he had talked to folks after that one, but it was one of the more egregious calls I've ever seen. And of course it happened to the Falcons, and of course it involved Tom Brady. But, and this is something that, look, man, like, it's hard for me to get super, super up in arms, where there were a lot of Falcons fans just losing it on social media after. And look, put your phone down. Ultimately, this is still just a rebuilding year. The Falcons are not playing for the Super Bowl. The Falcons, like, it hurts. Like, this is a rough loss. That is a really, really rough way to lose a football game and not get one final chance. We don't know how it would have gone if they don't throw the flag there and what Mariota does. But we don't know. He could have fumbled it. Anything. They still could have lost the game in a different kind of way. That said, the main takeaway is that they took a Bucs team who still have really good DVOA Super Bowl odds to this point. The defense has been legit, and they just fight. Like, the main thing about this season with the Falcons for me is just that Arthur Smith is clearly the guy. He is one of the better play callers and offensive minds in the sport right now. And the Falcons are playing above their heads week in, week out, which is what you really want when you have one of the league's worst rosters as a whole. I'm not certain what Browns fans think they're getting in Deion Jones, but Deion Jones was done last year and has not played to this point this year. So, I mean, it's a name. Wish him well. He was a really good Falcon for pretty good amount of time, but I just don't think there's anything there. And look, I mean, the biggest thing too is Falcons fans are really, really upset about the Kyle Pitts target situation. He didn't play yesterday, which matters, but Micah Parsons continuing to be an absolute menace for the Dallas Cowboys as they lead this defensive renaissance. And Big D doesn't help things because one touchdown through a season and a half almost of Kyle Pitts is just, it's just bad value. And I think that's the thing that Smith misses, is that like we are both understanding in that, look, the offense is working, which is great. And that's the point, is you want to develop guys. Like Drake London is a great player. Like this would be a bigger issue if the offense was bad and Kyle Pitts was also not getting targeted. But the offense is okay. The offense is actually kind of fine and kind of fun, even with Kyle Pitts not being a consistent factor week over week. It's just more, we're starting to get to the point where it's like, all right, then when do you admit that like this was going to be a little bit more difficult to make Kyle Pitts a staple and make him worthy of a number 4 overall pick and the way we want to play? I think that's a fair way of looking at it. And I don't know how you fix it because things are working and Smith's doing what Smith wants to do. And I get that.
I mean, I got to say, as a guy who watches George Kittle every week, and I can appreciate the blocking. We know he's one of the best blocking tight ends maybe ever. Mm-hmm. But my God, there was like I think one of the first plays this week against the Panthers, they threw it to Kittle and he just like goes up 2 or 3 guys around him. No business catching the ball, pulls it down. Another play after that, they throw it to him. He just like lumbers through like 18 players. And I mean, the same thing goes with Kyle Pitts. Like, I don't care how good your offensive game plan is. If those guys aren't getting the ball, you're doing it wrong. And you can tell me all day long, well, it's working. Well, there's no world in which I will believe that the 49ers offense is better without using George Kittle. Like, I refuse. And I think the same thing should be said about Kyle Pitts. He's insanely talented. Like, Drake London's exciting and an exciting player too, but like, there's no one on earth that can consistently guard Kyle Pitts. Why are you not giving him the ball like 10, especially in a year like this where you've got nothing to lose? Give him 12 targets. Let's see what happens.
Try to break the reception record with him for all week there. Like, just force it to him at this point. Give fans something to like, look, we drafted this guy 4th overall. We are going to make sure that it's worth it. And look, 1 touchdown against the Jets in London for, a year and a half of work is not what fans expected when they got him.
Also, Ted Gwynn had this from a couple weeks ago that I think bears repeating, and it's funny because this is something
Ted Gwynn does fantastic stuff, by the way.
Yes. Well, Kyle Pitts is a good blocker. So he maybe in his thing was like he needs to be a less effective run blocker if he wants to get targets again, because Arthur Smith loves him a tight end who can block. So maybe Kyle Pitts needs to mail it in a little bit.
But that's the Kittle stuff all over again.
Yeah. They can't help themselves. They just they can't help themselves.
You know what the easiest way to fix that is?
What?
If you draft someone 4th overall,
mm-hmm.
and you go, oh, but he's a really good blocker. Use your 1st round pick next year on the best possible blocking tight end ever. I don't care. Just put someone else on the other side to do that blocking, and then just let Kyle Pitts go. Like, it's insane to me. Like, these coaches that are so enamored and so like impressed with themselves that they're like, I'm going to make them block. Like, I don't even know who the Falcons running back is right now. Who is it?
Oh, it's Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier.
Yeah, those aren't real human beings. Those are fake names.
Wow, Tyler Algier is a great story. He's a good player.
Those are No, if you are,
we basically had the same player, by the way, Jarrett. Ty Warren and Tyler Algier are basically the same.
Jalen Warren
or Jalen Warren, yes, they're basically the same running back. They run really hard and they're going to hit you, and they just, I don't know. They feel like they're going to average 3.7 yards.
They just run like they're pissed off at the world.
Yes.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Jalen Warren is probably, side note, I'm sorry, Swartz, I'll let you get back to it. Jalen Warren right now outplaying Najee Harris, and it's not close. Sorry, go ahead, Swartz.
No, but I mean, like, that's great. I'm happy for them and their 3.7 yards or whatever it is they're getting. But it's just like, can you imagine being Kyle Pitts, getting drafted number 4 overall, over quarterbacks, over defensive players, all of that, and you're like, I'm gonna block for what's his name?
Tyler Algier.
I was gonna say which one? Caleb Huntley?
Tyler Algier.
Cordero when he's healthy.
That's my job.
Mm.
And that's another thing too. Like Cordell's on IR. Like you can't even like use. Oh well, we're starting running back. Like it's offensive. And I mean like It's not like it's Madden. I get it, but get your player the ball.
I just don't think it's going to change. I think we have a year and a half of documentation that this is not going to be.
Does he ask for a trade, Chase?
Who? Kyle Pitts?
Yeah.
Does he?
Do you think he will?
No.
It's way too early for that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, even if he like goes to bed screaming and crying, that like it's way too early for him to say that. I mean, it's been a year.
I don't know that position. I don't even know what his trade. I mean,
there's noise about Kadarius Toney possibly wanting one in the offseason. Same situation.
I mean, yeah, but that's a little different. Like he had some injuries. Their team, I don't know. Well,
both Florida guys though.
The Giants, man.
You never trust a Gator. That's what I've always said. People forget. Can't trust. Well,
what they are.
You know what, Swords? Yeah. How about the Giants? Can I take a victory lap real quick about the Giants?
Hey, dog. You deserve that W all the way across. By the way, I'm going to change my name because you guys haven't noticed it yet.
Yeah, no, I saw it.
We all saw it. Evan, we saw it. We saw it. Very much clear for the folks on YouTube.com.
I expect a clip to be prepared, by the way, for me next week or whenever I'm on next about whenever I was on here in like May talking about how good that I think the Giants could be.
Well, here's your time. Are you sure? Are we sure the Giants are good, Jarrett? Are we sure?
Good was probably. I think I said they were going to be improved, and I think that they could surprise a lot of people. Good. Do I think they're going to win a playoff game? No.
I mean,
they're going to be a playoff team.
I think
they'll be a contender. I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs.
The NFC East getting 3 teams in the playoffs? I don't think so.
Absolutely not. By the way, you guys can talk all day about the Giants, but I will say this. This is what I said yesterday, and I think it bears repeating. They are 4-1. They just handedly beat the Packers. Their quarterback did not throw a touchdown, and they scored 27 points. Like that coach, DeBoll he deserves praise. That's incredible.
And down 17 to Green Bay too, as well in that game. And then Saquon Barkley, the New York Saquon Barkleys came back in the second half.
I'm so happy he's playing well again. Like that.
So happy.
It's one of the coolest things. Like rarely in life, as an NFL fan, does these awesome players that have bad injuries ever come back and continue to be that dominant. And he's just done that. He's like right back to normal. He's probably
Saquon has been great, but then you see people overreact in the sport now. Where are we sure the Giants need to take a quarterback in the first round next year?
Yes, man, like it's an overreactive business. It really is.
Like now, he was completing for the last 3 weeks before this game. He was averaging 5.3 yards per attempt for the previous 3 weeks when they went 2-1, beat Carolina, lost to Dallas, beat Chicago. I mean, the completion percentage 54% against Dallas, 61% against Chicago. Like it's not like he's been lighting the world on fire here.
I mean, at this point, like I think NFL teams need to understand. Like, if you're the Giants, draft a quarterback. If you're the Steelers, I mean, like Pickett might be good. I would still draft a quarterback because if Pickett is that good, trade the other guy. Like you can't go out
just hold him for a king's ransom. I'm not against that.
I mean, you literally can't go out and have Daniel Jones be your starting quarterback every week and expect to win games in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like I'm very happy for that team. Not really, because I'll never get over the 2011 NFC Championship. I hope they burn in hell. But like you can't look at me confidently and be like, Daniel Jones has got it, dog.
I like that point that you just made, though, Swords, because right now, if the season ended, the Steelers would have the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
So,
do you think they trade it, or do you think they would take Bryce Young or CJ Stroud?
You think they're not taking Bryce Young or CJ Stroud over just because they have Pickett?
That organization, I would bet the mortgage I don't have that there's no chance in hell. If the season ended today and they had the pick, they would not take a quarterback because they just took one last year. Now, if Pickett plays horribly and they go like 4-13 and it's obvious that he's not the guy, then yes, I do think that they would be like, all right, let's eat this. Or you know what? It's still going to shock me if they're like, let's give him an entire offseason as the starter.
You guys,
We'll
the Pittsburgh Steelers had Ben Roethlisberger, a Hall of Fame quarterback, 2 Super Bowl winning quarterback for 800 years. All they know is elite quarterback play. If you're telling me that tomorrow they had the number 1 pick and the organization looked at CJ Stroud and these guys who were just like probably one of the better classes that we've had in the last 10 years, and they're like, "No, we're just gonna keep picking." They
took him for a reason, Sowards. I mean, they see something in him. Obviously, he's only started one game.
They took Daniel Jones for a reason too. It doesn't make it.
The Giants and the Steelers are 2 very, very different organizations.
I mean, I don't know.
And that was also the Steelers' first draft, right? That that wasn't Colbert. That was his last draft because he retired right after it, right? So we don't really know because technically the new GM is not tied to Pickett. I guess that's one wrinkle because he was not the guy.
He is because he was still a part of the front office. That he was the assistant GM, so they hired that from within too, which isn't.
But you could spin it where it's like that was still the last Colbert draft. Yeah,
sure.
Just while we're here, because I am curious, who is the worst teams in the NFL? Because like when you look at like the Raiders, who are 1-3, I still think they're going to win 5-6 games. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Steelers are 1-4. They're going to win some games, right? Like the Texans are 1-3.
By the way, here's my bold prediction: the Steelers aren't a good team. They're beating Tampa this week. I'll just throw that out there.
Steelers beating the Bucs this week. Where is it?
It's in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I think Houston and Chicago are bad. Swords. They're both bad.
I mean, yeah. The Houston and Chicago are bad, but I mean,
the teams that I'm certain are bad. Like I'm certain is Washington. Like I'm certain the Commanders are a bad football team. Like I'm certain
Rivera's getting fired this year.
Yes, I think that's.
I can agree with that. I think that's definitely happening.
But my point is this: is like I think the Steelers and some other teams have a chance at like one of the top quarterbacks this year, and they can probably win 4 or 5 games. I think it's one of those seasons where you don't have to lose every game but 1 or 2 to get the top pick.
I see that there. Yeah, no, I can. There's a lot of. I don't want to say there's some sort of parity here where, each year we seem to have our team that would be like, all right, the Jets are going to win 2 games, and then the Lions will win 3. But yeah, no, I do think that if somebody finishes with 4 wins, you could still have the number 1 overall pick, which is strange.
I have a take. This one might be a little spicy. Who I think is for sure bad. I think the Rams are for sure bad. I think we're at that point where we need to recalibrate.
Going to argue with that.
He's definitely not. I think the Rams are just bad.
I think the Rams are still going to win 6 or 7 games.
That's bad. Like with Stafford and everything they've invested coming off a Super Bowl winning season, you winning 6 games, going 6-11. I mean, that's rough. They're bad. Their point differential, I think they're in the bottom 3 in that in that respect. I mean, Stafford has not been good. Maybe he's not right. They can't run the football. The offensive line stinks. Jalen's been torched a lot this year. I don't know, man. I think the Rams, they lack the depth and they don't look right. I think the Rams are actually we're going to recalibrate in a couple of weeks where they're like, oh, they're suddenly 2-7.
Yeah.
I don't think the Rams are good. I think the Rams are one of the worst teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what the value of a franchise left tackle has is a big difference going from Andrew Whitworth to Joe Noteboom. So, yeah, it's if you don't have an offensive line, you don't have anything in this league, and the Rams are living, breathing proof of that. This is a team that was just in the Super Bowl who added an All-Pro, Bobby Wagner, on defense, and added a Pro Bowl caliber receiver, and Allen Robinson on offense. And
first off, Allen Robinson is at the end of his career. Bobby Wagner is at the end of his career. I mean, like the most notable play that Bobby Wagner has had this year is when he tackled a fan.
That's true. I don't know. Like he has 5 touchdowns, 7 picks. Stafford, that is, he's averaging 6.9 yards per attempt. Like he's just not been good. He's been sacked 21 times through 5 games. The offensive line's not good. He has 1 touchdown pass the last 3 weeks. And I mean, granted,
I think Stafford anytime interception is becoming an automatic bet. By the way, just an automatic bet, just an easy money.
He's thrown an interception every single game this season except the Arizona game.
Correct. What was that first quarter stat? Or fourth quarter stat. Did you guys see that?
Mm-mm.
It's something like he has thrown 4 picks in the fourth quarter and like one touchdown or no touchdowns.
Yeah, not great.
Like he's just. And also,
I'm sorry, Swords.
I'm just saying, like the shoulder injury or the elbow injury that he had, like the Tommy Johns thing, like,
yeah,
it might be that because we saw that he can play really well. And hey, Cooper Kupp is still balling.
That's fine. I think they can be bad and Cooper Kupp putting up numbers. Like we've seen all across the league. You can have a great receiver and still be a really bad football team.
Yeah, look at Larry Fitzgerald's career.
Yeah.
True. Look at the top of Kyle Pitts.
Let me. I know that you just gave your spicy take. Let me give mine. The Raiders are for real bad, though. By the way. The Raiders are bad.
Are we sure?
I was sure before the season started.
I wasn't sure. I'm still not sure.
I said it out loud. Chase
Everybody was so excited about. Oh my goodness! And look, for fair point, they got Devontae Adams, an offensive-minded head coach. And then they remembered, oh, yeah, they have nobody on the offensive line, and their defensive backfield is horrible. And Josh McDaniels, the last time he was a head coach, it was a nightmare. And that seems to have carried over into this administration. Derek Carr's also, Derek Carr's not really trusting Devontae Adams a lot. There's some throws that haven't been made that if you go back and watch the film, especially against Tennessee, I want to say Devontae was just running. I think they were inside the red zone. He just simple 9 route beats the defensive back off the jump, has a step. With Aaron Rodgers, he looks up and the ball is there. Derek Carr, there's a lot more hesitancy there. They're still trying to work out this I don't know. I would not be surprised if this is Derek Carr's final year in Vegas and he's playing elsewhere next year.
Chandler Jones has 0 sacks. He has 4 total tackles this year. That's been the biggest problem. Is
Chandler Jones is also 97.
But he was good last year. Chandler Jones was supposed to be an important player across from Max Crosby. He was supposed to help make this easier. And Patrick Graham's a good DC. That was something that we just, or I shouldn't say we. For me, when I was thinking about where they were going to go, I mean, look, it was going to add up. And I think you spoke to this a little bit. Was like the Keelan Farrell picks and a lot of those drafts just backfired.
Which, by the way, isn't on the fault of McDaniels or but hey, man. At some point, those things add up, and they stick with you. So, and look, Josh McDaniels isn't tied to Derek Carr whatsoever. They're not going to fire him after 1 year. He'll get at least one more go of it. Maybe they draft Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, and they ship Derek Carr somewhere. If you're a team like Carolina, you'd give up a decent penny to get Derek Carr with what you've seen the past 2 years of Sam Darnold, the ghost of Cam Newton, and Baker Mayfield. Derek Carr is a mile better than Baker Mayfield.
Dude,
the Derek Carr landing spot's Tampa. Once Brady retires, that's the landing spot.
That's a good call too.
Derek Carr can play well enough in a very, very good situation. Derek Carr in a bad situation would not be that far off from what Baker's doing right now. I mean, look what he's doing right now. I don't even have to there's no fantasy here. I don't have to make things up. Literally, look what he's doing right now. He's
in a walking boot. Shout out to my fellow walking boot man with this high ankle sprain.
By the way, how you doing, man?
Month in, it's still annoying. Swords Jared didn't know this. I broke my foot a month ago. Jared.
I did not know this. What happened?
Yeah. Running. I'm a runner or was a runner. Now retired.
That'll teach you.
Yeah, 16 years of running consistently finally caught up to me. But basically got caught up on a sidewalk when I was crossing the street and put my left foot to plant to go forward. And I went like this too hard on the top of my foot and just the stress went. So I had a stress fracture in the top of my foot.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Heard the pop, which was terrifying. Never broken a bone and had the noise canceling. Yeah, never broken a bone until now. But I'm in a boot. Sleeping in a boot, let me tell you, it's an experience unlike anything other. It's a lot. But anyway, as you were saying.
I think that Carr is in that tier, hovering somewhere around that Jimmy Garoppolo, Ryan Tannehill tier. I think at his very best, at top of his game, he's a borderline top 10 guy. At his very worst, he's throwing 3 interceptions against the Chargers, and it looks bad. There's a lot of up, there's a lot of down, and you don't know exactly what you're going to get week in and week out. I know that last year, like, credit to him for last year, they had no business being a playoff team with everything that was going on, and he played very well. But like, I think that tonight the Chiefs are 7-point favorites. I think they win by 3 touchdowns. Like, this is going to be a blowout.
We'll see. I have that recording as we keep rolling here on this Monday night game. It's time, though, Jarrett. It's time for your Carson Wentz take. It's time for Evan to react in a way that only Evan Sowards can. But I'm giving you the floor, Jarrett. Like, it's your Carson Wentz moment. It's here. So make the case for all those Twitter trolls and everything else. Make the case for Carson Wentz in 2022 and why he is not responsible for what's going on in DC this fall.
Well, I'm not going to say he doesn't have any of the blame, but to say that he is, public enemy number one for Washington would be asinine. Public enemy number one is the offensive line, because every time Carson Wentz steps back, he is getting mauled, like he did against the Eagles when he got sacked 9 times. Let me just run through some stuff real quick. There are 3 quarterbacks with more passing yards than Carson Wentz: Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Tom Brady. I would say that that's pretty good company to be in. Quarterbacks with more touchdown passes than Carson Wentz: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and then Jared Goff kind of snuck in there with the Lions. Those are the only ones with more touchdown passes. He's got the same number of touchdown passes as Justin Herbert. He's got more than Joe Burrow, more than Aaron Rodgers, more than Tom Brady, more than Kyler Murray, more than Derek Carr. Like, again, this is the same argument I think I've made about Carson Wentz for the last year or so. I'm not going to sit up here and say he's a top 10 guy. I will absolutely sit up here and say he's top 20, borderline top 15. Like, he's not what he was before the ACL injury, but he is still a guy. Like, ask Indianapolis if they'd have Carson Wentz right now. Like, they're scoring 12 points with the ghost of Matt Ryan.
They had Carson Wentz. They had, I mean, what do you mean?
They were much better at this point than they are right now, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like, Matt Ryan it's all relative. Matt Ryan sucks, but like, so did Wentz. They were both terrible.
Wentz 27 touchdowns, 7 picks last year.
Doug, like, first off, what is the number one thing with Carson Wentz in the stats that you just named off? What was the number one thing that was the difference between all the other quarterbacks you named? The other quarterbacks are winning football games. Carson Wentz is throwing
that's the point I'm trying to make, Sowards. Like, he's not the problem.
No, but like, Carson Wentz throwing all these yards, like, of course they're playing for behind all the time. What are they going to do with their running game? They're not going to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball. Is
Carson Wentz allowing the Detroit Lions to put up 22 points in the first half? Is Carson Wentz the one who is letting Philadelphia Eagles run at will at him?
No, but you're saying, like, look at all of his yards and his touchdowns, like that. Those are opportunities that quarterbacks have when you're losing. You throw the ball a lot. How many attempts does he have compared to other quarterbacks? Like, all he's doing is he's throwing the ball 40. Was that like 45 or 50 times a game?
It's up there.
He is second in attempts. But also,
is Jared Goff still 1?
No, Kyler Murray is 1, and then right behind Wentz is Brady, Herbert, Allen.
Oh, I'm surprised Goff's not in the top 5.
Goff has 186. Murray has 215 to lead the league.
Interesting.
It's probably going to go up when D-Hop is back. So Tyler might win that one.
The Cardinals are. I mean, this season is crazy. There are so many bad. Tom Brady said it. Like, I'm just repeating what he's saying, but like, there are some bad football playing this season.
A lot of bad football.
Like,
why do you think that is? Do you think there's any reason as to why it's been this bad through 6 weeks or 5 weeks rather?
I mean, I think there's go ahead, Jared. You're probably.
I don't know if I agree that there's been a lot of bad football. I just think there's a lot of parity. I just don't think there's a lot of horrible teams. I think there's a lot of mediocre, middle of the pack teams, and they just all happen to be playing each other right now. So there's going to be a lot of teams that are at 2 and 3. Are they good? Are they bad? 3 and 2. Are they really a 3 and 2 team? Like we talked about it. The Giants. The Giants are 4 and 1, but they've also played. Who have they beaten? They beat the Bears. I know that they just beat Green Bay, but I think Green Bay's got a few of their own issues to work out. Like, Chicago hasn't really. I'm sorry, the Giants. Like, we're still trying to figure out if they're good. I think there's just a lot of middle of the pack teams, and just the league isn't as top heavy as it was.
But I mean, that's the entire point, though, right? That there's a bunch of middle of the pack teams because there's a bunch of bad football. Like there's no I mean, like look at the last 3-4 years where you've had like aggressively dominant footballs. I mean, even the Packers in the regular season were just destroying teams. But this year it's like it's the Bills and the Chiefs. You know, we'll see tonight. I expect them to win, obviously, too. But like, it's already like, I mean, like, there was only one undefeated team. You know what I mean? Like, it's the Eagles, but like, I think every other season going this far in, there was like at least a couple of undefeated teams hanging around. Like, there's just a lot of bad football teams this year. I mean, every team that we were expecting to just be dominant, like look at the AFC West, isn't doing it. You know, it's weird.
I think a lot of it is the fact that nobody's playing in the preseason. Like, hear me out on that. Hear me out. Like, especially for Denver, and my buddy Matt Rhule touched on this on a Twitter space last night. I think he's absolutely spot on. Like, you've got a whole new coaching staff, a new quarterback with that coaching staff, and who doesn't have any chemistry with this offensive line. You don't play him a snap in the preseason. Yeah, this first month is going to be ugly because it's the first time all playing together, coaching together, and whatnot. There's a reason why Denver looks that bad is because they didn't have any sort of live game action together. So I think that you look at the Giants, they played a lot in the preseason. I think that's why they might be a little bit of a step ahead of some of these teams that they're better than, or that are better than them, you know, personnel wise. It's, we say that preseason means nothing, but you know, at the end of the day, it might mean a little bit more than people seem to realize.
Yeah, you look at 49ers too with Jimmy and like not having any kind of training camp and things like that. And now look at how he's playing since he's gotten a couple games under his belt. I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I've been tweeting that all season so far. Like the lack of preseason football games, in spite of just having like an extra, like, you know, the NFL wanted an extra regular season game, but I think by doing that, they've made. I mean, week 4, I still don't think we have teams playing at how, like, I think by 10 weeks from now, like the landscape is going to look so different, and who the power teams are, who the winners are, who the really good teams are, the really bad teams are. Like, I think you add one NFL regular season game, but in spite of doing that, now like the first 4 weeks are a crapshoot.
I think where I'm at is I think there are the for real can win the title teams, and it's a couple. Right now for me, it's the Bills, it's the Chiefs, it's the Ravens, it's the 49ers, and
Eagles?
Maybe the Packers. And that's about it.
Maybe the Eagles?
I still am, and it's not fair because I am the biggest Jalen Hurts guy, and I was beating that drum for years and just have loved the dude since Oklahoma and Alabama, like all-time great competitor, and he's just gotten better, and he's just a locker room leader, and he's been great this year. For whatever reason, I'm still just waiting for the Eagles to come back down to earth a little bit. I'm still waiting for it. And I don't know why. It's not really fair because they're passing every test, but I'm waiting for them to fall back down a little bit.
I think that this year's Eagles is going to be very, very similar to that of the MVP Lamar year Ravens, where they just kind of run through the regular season, but when they play a real team in the playoffs, they just get capsized.
I mean, I think Jalen Hurts is much better than like the ghost of Ben Roethlisberger, but like that, you know, when that was it 2 years ago or whatever when they went 7-1,
started off 11-0.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to that. I think Hurts is just a better QB. Like, there's certain teams that do well in the regular season that I'm just never afraid of in playoffs, and I think the Eagles are going to be similar to that.
Hey, look, Hurts has taken a step forward as a passer, and I think that was the biggest question about Philadelphia is, okay, can Jalen Hurts become a better pocket passer? He's not elite by any means, but it's noticeable that he has gotten better in that aspect of his game. So credit to him for that. But Philadelphia, I mean, look, they got a good defense. They got good skill position guys. They got a quarterback that's a pain in the ass to game plan for, who can run all over you. They're fun to watch at bare minimum. But yeah, no, I think that if Hurts continues to progress, I think that next year Philadelphia is a Super Bowl contender. If this is a linear progression type thing that we're seeing from Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, also you got to remember, like, you know, the NFC is a little bit different than the AFC, but in the NFC, the Eagles have scored the most points out of any team. You know what I mean? Like, they've scored 135 points against is 88. So American Football Conference is a much different beast, right? But like they're scoring a lot, right?
Yeah, NFC is like the conference of the old guard, like Rodgers, Brady, Stafford. All those guys are still over there, and you got Hurts, the young pup, who's just, I think, is just ready to run past all of them
I'm
if you can keep it up.
I'm excited. I'll say this as a 49ers fan that I am. There were so many years when the 49ers had like these just unstoppable defenses, but the offense just really could never get it done when they needed to win the Super Bowl. And, or, especially in NFC championships, like when you think about back with the Giants, right? Alex Smith just couldn't get it done in those drives, and they end up fumbling the ball with Kyle Williams. I'm excited as a 49ers fan because if Jimmy can just play like a game like he did last year, like these are the type of defenses that when they get into the Super Bowl, that defense can shut whatever offense is. I think they could shut down the Bills. So I'm excited for the way this season is shaping up because I don't think the Bills are not playing good defenses right now, but they look fantastic.
Interesting. Couple quick other things I wanted to hit on before we do our pick 'em here tonight. Jarrett, Christian McCaffery, thrown out there. So now the fire sale is coming in Carolina, and the Vultures are swarming. A team in cap hell, one of the three teams in cap hell in the NFC South going into next year. The Panthers being one of those three. The Falcons, all the cap space in the world, they are in cap hell right now, but they will not be going next offseason. But I think this is interesting. So a source confirmed, saw this on Twitter, that I forgot the writer.
It was Ryan Talbot for the Bills.
There you go. He said it, quote, "A source has confirmed to me that the Bills have reached out to the Panthers about running back Christian McCaffery." We know the Bills can't really run the football. We know that Josh Allen is passing a lot. We know that he is throwing the football a lot. But it's also working quite well, this version of Josh Allen. Right. I think people might be overcompensating about it. Like, you did invest in James Cook. You did try, like, Zach Moss. Like, you have dudes. Like, they have a lot. Devin Singletary. Like, they have a rotation that should be better than where they're at. Is it worth it for the Bills to seriously give up some interesting draft capital for Christian McCaffrey? Does he actually move the needle in Buffalo?
Yeah, and they should absolutely do it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like, because if you're the Bills, what holes do you have that a draft pick could come in and fill right away? There's no holes in that roster besides running back. And respectfully speaking to Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, and James Cook, none of them collectively are Christian McCaffrey.
I don't know how they keep finding the same running back over and over again.
Literally. It's impressive.
Like, if the Bills could just take one of the running backs the Steelers have had the last 5 years, it would be a completely different ballgame.
You could take Zach Moss, James Cook, and Devin Singletary's jersey. Oh, maybe not Devin Singletary. He's definitely been the standout. But if you switch Zach Moss and James Cook's jersey before the game, you wouldn't tell the difference.
I think the best James Cook that you ever saw is probably very similar to Devin Singletary.
So when it comes to that, yeah, like, because what do they need? They've got a top 5 to me cornerback in Trey White when he's healthy. They just drafted Kyrie Elam on the other side of him. Safety wise, Hyde and Jordan Poyer, 2 all-pros. Ed Oliver on the defensive line. They just drafted Gregory Rousseau, who's been good. Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano in the middle, and their offensive line's good. Like, what else do you need? Go get a stud at running back who's also a receiving threat and will be a big threat in the passing game, which, yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what the Buffalo Bills need, is another passing threat. Like,
the one thing I will say,
though, if you're Buffalo.
If you look at the last 20 years in the NFL, every time a team, you're just like, dude, draft a running back, assholes. They never do. Like, whenever a team needs a running back, they never do it. It's just like the Bills are that, like, I've seen so many teams where you're like, draft a running back. Stop. It's like the 49ers too are a good example of, like, but they keep.
You've ruined it for everybody.
But they draft running backs in the second round and they suck. So, By the way, what happened to Tyrion Davis-Price out of LSU?
I mean, what happened to Trey Sermon?
I mean, dog, he got a carry, and he was like, he got his first carry, and for the Eagles.
Speaking of, by the way, we should mention this before we get into our last thing. The Jets winning big and blowing out the Dolphins, and the Jets.
I'm so happy about it. Oh, am I happy about that?
Happy about it?
Oh, dude, here's the thing. So, like, I'm not a Bills fan. However, I have a big Bills following for whatever reason. And so, like, anytime I tweet anything about the Bills, it usually does numbers, which is why I started tweeting more about the Bills. And Dolphins fans just like after
Johnson no just came out again.
After Miami beat Buffalo, I tweeted, "Look, Bills are still the best team in the sport. They were without literally a ton of I don't remember the exact way I worded it, but it did numbers, and every Dolphins fan and their mother came at me. And so now I just actively root against the Dolphins.
Oh no,
just because it's great.
I don't know, man. It's just I'm obviously biased, but Mike McDaniel is just such a fun guy to root for.
I don't know, man. I'm over him.
Ooh.
He's just
over Mike McDaniel.
He's infallible. He's such a happy, nice, sweet man. Like
I don't know.
He literally is just a good human being.
Well, you're saying they're caught up, Evan, because you got Robert Saleh in New York, the DC, and then Mike McDaniel, the OC, down in Miami.
Nah, dog. Like, listen, Robert Saleh was a happy story. I'm happy for him, but like, Mike McDaniel is such a better coach than Robert Saleh. It's not even close.
Well, if you had to do the 3 through 5 weeks now, how do you re-rank the AFC East? Because the Patriots just blow out the Lions at home in the all-time great unis. Hope they convert.
They should just make those their primary uniforms. Those are so much better than what they've got.
They're so good.
Good.
They're so good. But they also blow out the Lions at home, who've been putting up a bunch of points. Like the Lions have been one of the best offenses in football, and the Pats just shut all of that down and won big. And Bailey Zappi, a rookie out of Western Kentucky, who put up bonkers stats last year for the Hilltoppers, was good. They're okay. Like, I think so. I'm just trying to figure out what's the 3, what's the order, because we thought the Dolphins had established this a few weeks ago, and now the Jets win. I don't know. So okay, go for it, Evan. What's the 3 behind the Bills?
The Bills are ranked number 1.
Yeah,
and then the other 3 are tied at number 2.
Okay, so you have them all tied.
Like literally, like I think they're gonna just beat each other up all season, being mediocre as hell. I mean, like,
so you don't think any of the 3 break out?
Well, I mean, the Dolphins, whether or not Tua is a starting quarterback in the NFL is up for debate, but like he's gone, right? You know, I don't know when he's
Dolphins fans that Sowards, because remember he threw 6 touchdowns against 2 broken coverages by the Ravens.
But I'm saying, like, I don't know if he's coming back. We got to take his like health very seriously with what happened to him. So, like, I mean, anytime your quarterback is out for however long, right? Like, who knows what'll happen? And I think Teddy Bridgewater is doing an admirable job. But dude, the Patriots are weird. They're super weird, and they're like their roster struggles. I see them all as the same type of team, just a team that will like win some games, they'll lose some games, and they'll probably have a mid-round pick.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like the Jets are basically taking the ball out of Zach Wilson's hands. In the last 2 games, he's only completing 56% of his passes. So there's a lot of corollaries, I think, when I'm watching the Jets and the Bears. The Jets are just winning games. And I think the difference also is the Jets have significantly more talent than the Bears, but they want to play the exact same way.
Yeah, like the Jets to me, like, I think a lot of it too is, you know, they saw what it was last year. I think they asked Zach Wilson to do too much as a rookie. But look, the arm talent's definitely there. They brought in, you know, guys like Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson to help him.
Garrett Wilson looks good, man. Wilson looks fantastic. This draft looks great. Sauce Gardner looks great. You go up and down the list. This draft is big time for the.
Can I talk about the Raiders game right now, or we are not allowed to?
I thought we were done with the Raiders. Are we going back to the Raiders?
I'm talking about the game literally right now at this moment.
No, I have it recorded right now. I don't want to know. I'm watching it later.
It's a week 4 podcast.
What do you mean?
Jared's about to go eat Qdoba and watch that game.
Okay.
Yeah, see, hold on. You got to hold it, Evan.
It's week 4.
It
happened during the week. No, it's week 4.
Is it week 4?
It's week 5.
Yeah, it is week 5.
Is it week 5?
Yeah.
It's week 5.
Dude, I'm so hungry right now. I can't. I'm the lowest.
I know. I've
ever had in my life.
I'm gonna go eat. Is what.
I will say no spoilers at all. But like, as far as the Raiders, everything we just talked about, there's something like a huge. I don't know. It's hilarious. You'll see.
All right. Well, there you go. Ominous for us. We'll end on this. I'm gonna put 2 minutes on the clock so we can all go eat some food here for our pick'em this week. Jarrett, get ready to get yelled at for these picks. Evan, Where are we going in week 6? To clarify, Mr. Sowards, we are in week 6. After
I was
this
going to say,
game.
I got to type it in, right? Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to start off with the Commanders and Bears.
All right, 2 minutes on the clock. Ready now.
Commanders and Bears, none of us care about it, but I'm going to say the Bears just because flip a coin.
No, Commanders. I'm taking them.
I was going to say Commanders.
I'm
I don't think
betting
the Bears
this
can
game.
score enough.
Okay. Ravens and Giants. I think this is where we all realize that the Giants are not going to be able to.
The Ravens are going to win by 30.
Yeah, so I'm taking the Ravens.
The Wink Martindale Bowl. He knows how to coach against the Ravens. I don't know.
You know what? I didn't even think about that, Chase. Fantastic job. Okay, the Ravens still win, but I think it'll be a low-key fun game.
I think so, too. I'm going to say Ravens win, but I think it's super close.
Cool. Jaguars and Colts. I feel bad for the Colts because my buddy's a Colts fan. I feel bad. I want Matt Ryan to succeed, but I think the Jaguars win here. I think we're getting closer to Trevor Lawrence being him.
I'm having Zaire Franklin on my podcast tomorrow, so I'm going to say the Colts.
There you go. It would be 3 straight losses though for the Jags if they lose this one in Indy.
It would be.
I don't know. I don't think the Jags fall 2-4. I think they bounce back and beat the Colts. Colts offense really sucks. It's
really bad.
It's really bad. Give me the Jags.
Okay, Patriots and Browns. I am so tired because of the whole Deshaun Watson stuff that seeing the Browns have any kind of success. I'm hoping that, Bill Belichick can pull that little, spite against the Browns and what happened with him as a head coach there.
Yeah, I was going to say, he just hates the Browns.
Right. I hope they can just put him down this week.
Just spite him to death.
Yep.
I'm down for that. I'll take the Patriots.
I'm going Browns at home.
I think the Browns will win, but I'm going to take the Patriots.
Yeah, it just feels dirty. I don't like picking the Browns.
Yeah.
All right. We're going Bengals and Saints.
Bengals.
The Saints are a weird team, man.
Kamara was back, and Kamara, they are a completely different team when Kamara plays. Just an absolutely completely different team. I think they win at home with Kamara. As long as Kamara plays, I think they're a fine team. The Bengals have bigger problems. I think Zach Taylor might be might not be long for that Bengals job. They fall to 2-4.
Chase is absolutely desperate for the Saints to be good this year.
Why? I'm not desperate.
I'm just saying you were high on him, and I
was high on him, but I was. But it's, as a Falcons fan, it's not like I'm just dying for them to be good.
Right.
It's just that my instinct was they were going to be good, but they have not been.
Okay, so I'm going to take the Bengals just because I really hope that Joe Burrow figures this out. I don't like this. I was happy watching Joe Burrow be successful.
It's not even Joe Burrow. I remember enjoying Jamar Chase being open deep. That was a fun time. I hope that happens again sometime.
Those are T. Higgins targets now, bud.
They are. Shout out to Oak Ridge's own T. Higgins.
There you go.
All right. Buccaneers and Steelers. We already know what Jarrett thinks.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I said, Steelers aren't a good team, but they're winning.
Okay. I'm taking the Bucs.
Yeah, give me the Bucs here. I don't think that. Yeah.
So the 49ers are going to absolutely destroy everything that the Falcons have ever loved.
No.
What's the spread on that, Swords?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about spreads and things of the sort.
Because if it's
5.5
it's not enough. It's not enough.
Niners 5.5.
I might take Atlanta to cover that.
There you go.
Dog.
This can be close. Guaranteed.
The Falcons we'll see. Once again, it's all about who starts on defense. But yeah, I'm taking the Niners. I think
give me the Niners, but I think the Falcons cover. I think this is another just really close game.
You got to remember the Falcons recently had beaten the 49ers when they were not supposed to, 2019. So Jets and Packers. This is a weird game. Packers. Jets coming off a very big win. Packers coming off a very bad loss.
Yeah, no, coming back from London too. I think Green Bay wins. I think the Jets keep it relatively respectable.
I don't expect the Jets to win again.
I don't either. The Packers have not lost a home game yet, and I don't think they're going to here. They're just a different team at home.
All right, well, Sarah just got home, and the dog is going to go absolutely psycho, so there's no muting when I got to talk, so just hear it in the background. Vikings and Dolphins. I'm going to go Vikings here.
I am also going Vikings.
This is where the Dolphins bounce back. The Vikings are going to be a 500 team this year. They're going to have the week they do well, and they bounce back into the dumb. Yeah, no, give me the Dolphins at home.
I mean, yeah, I would be happy to see the Dolphins, but once again, I think the Vikings might win their division this year. And I said that on this podcast. I got to say, as a 49ers fan in the NFC West, I am happy to say I think the Panthers might have that new head coach, a little like play hard for the backup head coach, Steve Wilkes. I think the Panthers beat the Rams.
I think I agree. And I don't even know who's under center because I think Baker's out for this one and Sam Darnold's not ready. I don't even know.
I think Sam Darnold might be ready for this game.
Well, Matt Corral's out for the year. So I'm like, who is even available? Like, who's left?
Yeah.
Is PJ Walker on the practice squad?
That's what I was wondering too. It's like, is PJ Walker time? I think I'm going Panthers too in an upset. The post-firing bump. That's a real thing, man.
That is a real thing.
Give me the Panthers.
I'm still taking the Rams.
Okay. The Cardinals and Seahawks. What a terrible game that's going to be for me because I just don't care.
I think that's going to be a low-key fun game.
I was going to say, I'm on the opposite end. I think that's going to be a barn burner. That's going to be like 38-31. Take the over. Yeah, so whatever the over is.
Yes.
The reason why I say that is because I'm like at an impasse here. Like, I hate the Seahawks, but like, man, it's hard not to root for Geno Smith.
He is throwing dimes. Geno is balling.
If Geno Smith did that early in his career, Rex Ryan would still have a job.
Yeah.
Well, also shows, like, thank God
for years. I mean, hey, Geno's a dude.
Geno Smith has been taking punches that in spite of things for everyone, right?
Yeah.
He got Rex Ryan fired, which was a good thing. All I'm saying is this: someone tweeted that Geno Smith might be a top 10 QB right now, and they might be right.
This year, I think he is.
At this very moment, yeah.
I'm here for it. Like, Geno Smith deserves everything good that's happening to him. So I will sadly be taking the Seahawks.
I am taking the Seahawks too.
All right.
If the Cardinals lose this, what are they going to be? Are they going to be 2-4?
Yes.
Cliff's seat's going to get pretty hot.
Didn't he just get an extension? Like, he's got like 9 years left on that deal.
Are you shitting me?
Cliff got another extension. Yeah, like Cliff got an extension before the year.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. All right. Well, that was stupid.
Yeah, he's through the 2027 season now.
Oh, God, that buyout would be ungodly. All right. Well,
yeah,
I'm going to take the Cardinals.
All right. Well, I won't say anything just because there's a game in play that we're not allowed to talk about. But I will absolutely be taking the Bills.
Where are you going, Jared?
I don't like where that's. I bet on the Chiefs too tonight, so I don't like the way this sounds. I will be taking the Bills. Aren't gonna win every game.
It is also remember that this game is is at Kansas City.
Here's the thing: every matchup that Mahomes and Allen have been at Arrowhead, which is a pain, and I don't like it. I think I will take the Chiefs.
I'm going Bills.
I'm not confident either way. I think it could very well go either way.
And hey, you know what? The Chiefs have had the Bills numbers the last couple times. They've been fantastic games. The Bills deserve to win one. They're the best team in the NFL right now, so I think the Bills win. All right. After that, Cowboys and Eagles in a sneaky good game.
I think the Cooper Rush comes down to earth against Philadelphia, and the Eagles win by like 50.
Right, but on the other side of the spectrum,
did you say 50?
I don't think it'll actually be 50, but
you think this is a blowout?
On the other
side
of the
spectrum, Philadelphia handles the Cowboys.
Micah Parsons and that Cowboys defense. What about Jalen Hurts coming back down to earth?
I have the Cowboys here. I think the Cowboys win and stun the Eagles. I think this is a rough one for Eagles fans.
The Cowboys defense is for real.
Yeah. Cooper Rush, for real. People forget.
Cooper Rush had 10 completions. Like, let's slow down.
That's 10 more than the three of us in an NFL game this weekend.
I think that A.J. Brown is going to have fun playing against Trayvon Diggs.
Oh, yeah. I agree to that, too. But, like, man, Micah Parsons is the second best defensive player in the NFL right now.
Right behind T.J. Watt when he's healthy.
Right behind Nick Bosa, who is better than T.J. Watt.
Incorrect, but that is all right.
Statistically and just in general as a whole.
Well, I mean, this season, obviously, he's played more, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Broncos and Chargers. I'm happy for this game because that's exactly what Justin Herbert needs to continue this little momentum push. They are going to stomp out the Broncos. I think we're gonna be, we're gonna be having some hilarious conversations because this is.
I think Nathaniel Hackett's one and done.
Nathaniel Hackett might be the next coach fired.
He might be week 7 and done.
Like, I'm still a Matt Eberflus is the most likely one and done guy. Like, that's what I had going into the year.
Wait, who does he coach for?
The Bears.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I've refused to pay attention to anything that's happening.
He had a lot of Steve Wilkes-itis to me when I was looking.
That's a very good comp for Matt Eberflus.
The Chargers are opening up as a 6.5 point favorite against the Broncos.
That game's going to be 12-9, and we're going to hate every second. Twitter is going to hate this game.
I don't know about all that, man. I think Herbert.
There's 2 rules when it comes to betting. You don't bet on the Jets. You don't bet on the Chargers. I'm not confident in this, regardless. The Chargers should win, but I could absolutely see Denver beating them.
I think the Chargers win, but the Broncos cover. I think this is another ugly 16-13 win or something.
The Chargers and Vikings are very similar to me, where they can beat anybody, but they can lose to anybody too.
Yes.
I don't think the Chargers are out of the water yet with chargering, but I do definitely think this is definitely a game that is, as a Herbert guy, I'm excited for him to be able to play. They've got a good defense, but Russell Wilson has bigger issues than I think any of us know. So I'm going to take the Chargers, and that concludes what is absolutely not week 5.
Yeah, there you go.
That's technically true.
That is technically true. Jarrett, thank you so much for making the time this evening. Great having you back on the pod. What would you like to plug as we wrap up here tonight?
Tomorrow, the season debut of No Notes comes out. It's just my interview show where I talk to people that I enjoy in entertainment. Comedian that'll drop tomorrow. That'll be Colin Chamberlain that I'm doing that with. So recorded it today. That'll drop tomorrow. And then the pump fake. Zaire Franklin, linebacker for the Colts, will join me. Power rankings, best bets, all that fun stuff. So all of that tomorrow. And then as well as my weekly newsletter, which you can subscribe to in my Twitter bio, which is my weekly column. Very long
or
piece.
Else.
Yes. Or else I will hunt you down. And then, if you want some others like advanced betting stuff, pledge to me on Patreon. Patreon.com/Jarrett Bailey.
There you go. Jarrett, thank you so much for the time, per usual. Evan, thank you as well over at 49ers Hub when that site ever comes back online. But until then, follow him at Evan Sowards.
I mean, it works at NinersHub.com.
Okay.
I had to change the name just because they got rid of it. But, dog, I'm so lazy. I wish someone would just, come in and be like, I'll take over and run this website because I'm not going to do it.
Well, there you go. Hit him up at Evan Sowards and let him know if that could be you. That might be you. Who knows? But either way, guys, thank you so much for making the time. And Evan, I will talk to you next week. And Jarrett, thank you as always, and have a great week.
Always great having you on, Jarrett. Good talking to you.